Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is Monique from her, and maybe also for a special reason. And today I have a very special guest. Her name is Noelle O'Foster. She's a mom of two, and she's a single mom of two who lives in the country. She homeschools her children, and she is a former ghostwriter, a filmmaker, an actress, and she has a lot of experience. But one day, when she became a mom, she decided that things had to be different because her working days could be full with 18 hours of work. So she decided to turn around her life completely with the experiences she had from her former writing and filmmaking business. So with no further ado, I'm going to introduce you Noelle, and I'm going to add her to the stream. Let me see. She's going. Yes, there she is. Hi, Noelle. How are you?
Hi.
Thank you for being
I'm
here.
doing wonderfully today.
Oh,
Thank
how's
you
the
for
weather
having
over
me.
there? Well, you're welcome.
It
How
is
is the
so
weather
hot
over
right
there?
now. It's
Yeah.
hot today. Oh, yes, very, very hot. I have the air conditioning turned off because it's loud, so I might start to get a little dewy here and glowy from the from the heat,
I'm already
but
glowy,
it's
so
fine. We have a lot of beautiful.
no, it's the weather is not so good here for the last weeks. We had a lot of flooding in the last 3 weeks. People lost everything. It's crazy what happened here 2 weeks ago. Not for us because we live very high, but in the surroundings of Maastricht, in the south of the Netherlands. Maybe you have heard of it. The Treaty of Maastricht was signed there. There was a lot of flooding. People lost everything, their houses, their everything. So that is not so fun. So you can send us a little bit of sunshine, then maybe it
Right.
will dry sooner for them. So Noelle, tell us a little bit about you, because the topic of today is accessing our authentic voice, aka branding yourself. That is a little bit what is behind. Um, can you tell us a little bit about you, but also about the start of your journey and how it transitioned into what you're doing today?
Of course, yeah. Um, so I was just to give you a little backstory on me as a human. I was born to artist parents,
Okay.
so both incredibly talented people. My father, musician, my mother was a singer and a writer and a painter and was in theater. And I grew up with a great love for storytelling.
Hmm.
We read great books. I was introduced to wonderful literature early on. So I went down the path of in the arts, and I became a filmmaker and an actor. Well, an actor first, and then a writer, and then a filmmaker. And when I was in my late mid 30s, I started to have some really tremendous success as a screenwriter and a filmmaker, and made my first film. It won numerous national and international awards, and it was picked up for distribution. And uh, I thought, and then right around that same time, I was having some success as a writer as well. And it was very exciting. I thought, wow, this is great. I've been working hard. I really applied myself to my craft. I had did late nights. Really did the thing. And as I was on tour, I was touring with the film on
Hmm.
they call it the film festival circuit. So you show it in different film festivals, and then people who might want to acquire the film, would see the film, right?
Hmm.
So I was on that circuit, and I began to feel kind of sick. And anybody who's ever been pregnant maybe knows what that meant. Couldn't keep the coffee down, and I thought it was an ulcer. I
Okay.
was 41, 41 at the time, and so I having babies was like the last thing on my mind.
On your mind.
I didn't like. I thought, well, it wasn't going to happen for me. I was in my 40s. It just wasn't meant to be. I always wanted them, but the timing hadn't kind of figured itself out.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I discovered that I had this little girl in my belly, and I was absolutely overjoyed, but it was a complete shift for me. I had to really reevaluate like everything that I thought I was going after. And so that put me on the path of trying to figure out ways to earn a living that were allowed me the time really to be a parent, and not to be the, a lot of people, many people, most of my friends had to do full-time jobs, daycare, and then come home and then be a parent in the little windows. And I think because it was so late in life, and I thought that I was going to miss the experience of parenting. It became my it just became so sweet and so important for me. So I just was really, really dedicated to finding a way to do that. And so I tried a lot of different things. I tried part-time jobs. I tried ghostwriting and editing. I was a birth doula for a while, which was wonderfully nurturing work for the soul and very rigorous hours. That was like filmmaking hours, if you've ever attended a birth, it could be 18 hours, it could be 24 hours. And I wasn't finding anything that was giving me, I live in a very expensive state. California is very expensive. I wasn't finding anything that gave me sufficient income to have like the quality of life. We're not consumers, but we do like to take a vacation. I do like natural medicine, which is usually not paid for by my insurance. And my daughter's very interested in learning all sorts of things, violin and dance and so forth. So I haven't found anything that allowed me to really earn abundantly and feel satisfied and feel satisfied in my soul that I was contributing in a way that I wanted to contribute, and allowed me to be the mom that I wanted to be. So then about 2 years ago, I struggled for years. 2 years ago, my daughter was 7, my son was 4. I discovered personal branding. So personal branding through social media. And of course, personal branding is nothing new. Like, I am not going to speak about anything that's new. There's a lot of people that are doing it already, but I didn't understand it. And I had never heard it spoken about in those terms. So even though I had also worked as a marketing professional, I'd written marketing copy, I worked in public relations, I did so many different jobs in corporate, I didn't understand that I could brand myself. And so when I became aware that I could brand myself and how to do it with integrity and with purpose and meaning, that totally changed things for me. So I'm a storyteller, so feel free to interject with a question because I might go on for a while. But about 2 years ago, a lot of things kind of converged. And one of the things that converged was my marriage, becoming very aware that my marriage was not healthy. And we tried a lot of things to get it to be healthy. And so I really needed, necessity is the mother of invention, right? I didn't invent it, but I became very motivated. So I got really serious, and I learned about creating an authentic personal brand, and was able to part our households amicably, peacefully, and earn and support my family, and really be with my kids. So that's the whole the summary of the story. But I think it's a good maybe entree into discussion about what that is. What is a personal brand? So
what is a personal brand? Because we hear it a lot. There are 2 sides. One side says, and that was the side that I heard it from before, is personal branding is not something that you have to go after for, because you need it to be duplicatable. And if you want to brand yourself, most people that are in online business, they don't want to brand themselves. They only want to send messages, and so on and so on and so on. But on the other side, and that is the side I really listen to, is you have to brand yourself, because that way you are different than the others. Can you tell us a little bit about women that are just starting or already is for some time in business or maybe struggling in their business, why should they brand themselves?
Yeah. So, we had a little conversation, Monique and I, before we started, and one of the things that you said was that the people who resonate with your message will be different from the people who resonate with my message.
Mm-hmm.
And that's absolutely completely true. So, and we can, here's a good metaphor that I've used. We have an ice cream store chain here in the US. It's called Baskin Robbins. It used to be called 31 Flavors.
Okay.
And now I think they have like probably 100 flavors. They have so many flavors, right? So if I go into the ice cream shop with my son and my daughter, they're going to pick up out different things. You know, they like these crazy flavors, you know, as much as I try to avoid the food coloring, but they're like, I want the birthday cake flavor and I just want chocolate.
Yeah, yeah.
My son wants something else. And we're different humans, and we we align and resonate and find joy and meaning in different things. And pretty much every branding expert that you'll ever hear from talks about like finding your niche. You know, your niche is your specialty, right? The other reason we have, you know, doctors who specialize in feet, and we have doctors who specialize in skeleton, you know, our structural, our bones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we all have gifts. We all have gifts, and we can talk about this in different ways. We can talk about it in a very elevated philosophical, spiritual way, and we can talk about it in a practical way. I believe that we are all here for purpose, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe that that purpose is unique to us. Maybe there are similarities, and we can just look to our own selves and our inner wisdom for acknowledgement of that or confirmation, because what gives us joy, what gives me joy,
Mm-hmm.
is a combination of things and that combination is going to be different from
Yeah,
somebody else's.
yeah,
So so the concept of branding yourself is not so much making yourself into something else for packaging and promoting, which is kind of a, you know, I think that's what I thought personal branding was, and it was a real turnoff,
mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to become something that I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Authentic personal branding is actually becoming more of who you already are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that is more sustainable. It's more attractive, because you're not, you know, trying to keep up an appearance. You're just trying to be more you. It's
Yeah,
always easier to tell the truth than to tell a story, right?
yeah.
You could tell the truth again and again and again a million times and never have a problem. But
Mm-hmm.
the moment you try to tell a story, you're constantly having to, right? So authentic branding is really, and I think that's a soul's journey anyway, is becoming more of who we are, more of who we are, more of who we are. So that to me is, now it can be challenging for people who have been told that they were who they were was not acceptable,
I just wanted to
right?
ask it because I think a lot of people are lost in the authenticity. You hear the word a lot, but I think not a lot of people show up very authentic because we all have to hide something or we are afraid or whatever. When somebody wants to become authentic or change, how would you suggest that they start? Because it is never too late to change your business to become authentic with everything. You can have screwed up, if I may say the word, I don't know. You can do, maybe you did a lot of things wrong. You spammed other people or you annoyed your family and friends. It's never too late to change. What would you suggest that they can do to start and do it better?
It is never too late to change. Absolutely. um, I was 50, almost 50, 49 when I launched my, excuse me for a second. Okay. I was 49 when I launched my direct sales business. So we know from neuroscience, emerging neuroscience, that the brain is neuroplastic, which means
Mhm,
that it is still changing and growing and morphing all the time. So that old science that we can't change after 35 is completely debunked.
mhm,
And I think it's super exciting, which means we can change our self concept, which is our inner subconscious beliefs about who we are.
mhm,
We can change that, right? maybe our self-concept was, I, I have a lot of things about myself that I won't necessarily get into those specifics here. I have a lot of things about myself that I was not in acceptance of.
Okay.
Many things,
Mm-hmm.
because I was taught by my parents. They were well intended. They were trying to keep me from being ostracized, or they were trying to keep me from being bullied or picked on or whatever, that they taught me subconsciously or blatantly that these parts of myself were unacceptable.
Okay.
And if we were raised in a strict religion, if we were raised what societal norms for women, for men, and so forth. So most of what we think about ourselves is actually acquired programming anyway. So the part of us which is really authentic and true, uncovering that and unearthing it is like a process of self-love and self-acceptance.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be, I have a friend who's sort of like, just get out there and say the thing, just, and she's very like, she's from the Northeast. And if you know any people from the Northeast of the United States, they tend to be a little bit more, well, assertive and sometimes borderline aggressive. So I actually, yeah, I'm a little bit more gentle. I think that like a balanced, gentle trajectory is a little bit more sustainable because your nervous system doesn't get activated. But by degrees, unfolding yourself and unearthing yourself and telling your truth, and then realizing who stays and who goes, right? There's some memes that I've seen around, right? Like, just if you don't want to know who your tribe is, just start telling your truth and see who stays, right?
Yeah.
Who wants to be around somebody who only loves us for a false narrative, for a costume, for a mask? I want to be around people who love me because they love me.
Yeah.
So there's a gradual unfolding. I also did a lot of healing. I'm very much into healing our ancestral wounds and our family traumas, and I engage a lot of alternative and holistic healing therapies. Very big on that. So yeah, I would say that it's never too late. You're completely right. And that it's enormously gratifying to step more and more into self-acceptance and self-love. And the fear, famous saying, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. The fear is false evidence appearing real. Everybody's heard that one, right? It really truly is, though, because once you start stepping into your self-acceptance and self-love and see how much love you get and how much tribe shows up, you might wonder to yourself, like, why was I ever afraid of being myself? Why was I ever afraid of it? And this is so much better, right?
Yeah.
So
but
I would
business-wise,
encourage.
No, go on.
How does it work in business?
Yeah, you say you want to encourage them to find their authenticity. I think maybe you would wanted to say that, but we are talking to ladypreneurs, to mompreneurs, to people, to women who want to go in business. And if you want to go in business, you want to go in business because sometimes it can be for the community. Then you go maybe do network marketing. But we are more, there are also people that are more coach style or more solopreneurs, and not always in groups. What is the benefit of working authentic and branding yourself business-wise?
Fabulous question. So you mentioned coaching. So one of the there's a very, very well-known, well-loved coach in the United States named Preston Smiles. He's not a colleague of mine, but he's a mentor of mine. He is considered to be a coach's coach, so coaches go to him for coaching. And he started his life in a very rough way. He started his life homeless, lived as a homeless child, and came up. He found self-love and reinvented his self-concept and became, he's a 7-figure coach and has two or three little babies and a beautiful wife, and he's living his best life, and he's giving incredible service. But Preston Smiles does not shy away from his family, from his origins, because one of the things that he says is your message is in your mess, and that's been said in many different ways by different coaches, right? When we're trying to fake our way, like fake it till you make it is like this old expression, right? Which actually comes from filmmaking. Steven Spielberg. There's a wonderful Steven Spielberg story, and I understand the intention behind that, but it can go awry, right? Where people really are faking it, right? What an authentic personal brand. This is another branding expert that people could look up. These are men, right? But these are also men who have they have made peace with their yin and their yang, their feminine and their masculine, right? So I learned from women and I learned from men. A real brand is based on know, like, and trust. A sustainable brand, which is not based on trust, will not be sustainable. It won't last, because the minute that somebody finds something out about you, that's the end of your brand. It might die slowly, but it will eventually die. So if you lead with authenticity, you are immediately putting yourself in more connection with your audience. They feel connected to you because you are not pedestaling yourself, right? Especially if you're in direct sales, right? You don't want to pedestal yourself when you're in direct sales, because you're giving a false illusion that you're somehow a deity, right? Or a demigod, and that this is, look at all that you've accomplished. But really anybody could accomplish it if they have the tools. So if you're honest about your trajectory, first of all, they're going to feel like they can do it too, and second of all, they'll trust you because they know that you're a human being just like them. So it's really, even Oprah Winfrey, to speak about it in terms of celebrity, Oprah Winfrey is very transparent and vulnerable about her challenges, and that's part of her magic, actually. So,
but you talked a little bit about a niche. I never know how I do pronounce it, and personal, authentic personal branding. I found that is something that goes together through all the coaching that I did with great coaches, is because if you want to serve everybody, not only you're going to attract people that don't fit your authenticity, but also there's a lot of work, and you cannot serve anybody. Isn't that also a package deal that you have? When you discover your authenticity, you will automatically discover your niche, and because this goes together, you automatically know what you can give them, how you can serve them. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's brilliant. So if we're living an authentic life and we're really looking at ourselves and our experiences, and we're transmuting them into wisdom, which is really what a brand is, right?
How do you
Any
become
of us,
wise?
any coaches, any people in
how do you
my
become
gosh,
wise? That is my question that I write down every day. How do I become wise? I want to become wise. How do I do that?
Yeah.
Tell me. That is my journey to
Well,
become
I
wise.
can only share my own. Yeah, that's everybody's. Well, I don't know if it's everybody's, but it's my journey as well. And I feel like I have acquired some wisdom, and there definitely are places that I'm still working on. But I feel like the areas where I have acquired wisdom, a lot of it had to do with acceptance and being willing to look at myself honestly, and also not pedestaling myself. It's an interesting balance between honest self-inquiry and compassion, right? Because sometimes people get into honest self-inquiry and they become critics of themselves.
Okay.
And sometimes people are so in the drama triangle, right? They're in the victim corner that they're not able to access their wisdom. So when we can remove ourselves from the victim triangle and understand that everything is a blessing or a lesson. I might have gotten that from Preston Smiles too, I don't know. But if we can keep that as our sort of our calibration point, then the mind always will want to answer a question that we put in it, right? So if I give myself the question, I see the question in my mind, I'm gonna figure out what it is that I'm going to learn here, right? It's an old Eastern concept too, right? There's only lessons. Then my mind is constantly working for the answer. And maybe I don't know when that answer is going to come or who's going to deliver the answer. Sometimes the answers are delivered to strangers, like we hear the voice of God. I'm being a little melodramatic, but we're learning from each other, right? Or we get the bolt from the blue, or wherever it comes, the inspiration, like, I finally understand this. So I think that would be especially in relationship, my ex, right? I was a victim in that triangle for a long time until I realized that I had chosen that. And then I got to learn, why did I choose it? And so, yeah, I think that holding that point between honest self-inquiry and compassion, right? Those two things, I think will always lead to wisdom. It might take a little while. I have things that I'm only just now coming into my wisdom on, that I have been grappling with for decades. So maybe there's some patience as well.
It doesn't. Don't we acquire wisdom also through experiences, and often the bad ones that we that gives us more wisdom too. So we are living in a strange time. How can becoming more authentic, branding yourself, having your own business, can help you? How do I say that? Through this situation, without becoming political, without becoming medical or whatever. I think a business is having an online business is personal development with a paycheck. That is not my saying, but especially in these last 18 months, we see a lot of people turning to the internet, but we also see a lot of people who are really doing everything wrong, spamming people and so on. So could you help them with making a decision to build something for them, so they become stronger, and they maybe they come out of this situation better?
Yeah. So usually that comes from, well, it can come from two things. I'm getting the spammy messages a lot too. And it's, usually that comes from either they are, that's just what they were taught, or they just simply don't know another way. And, I don't fault them for that. If somebody hadn't introduced me to personal branding, I wouldn't have known it either. And attraction marketing, which go hand in hand. And then the other thing it could come out of is also maybe like some scarcity mindset, which comes out of fear. And that's totally relatable and understandable and human. And as a single mother who is completely solely responsible for the keeping this household going and thriving, I totally understand that.
Right.
Because even as I personally have been experiencing a lot of expansion in the last 18 months, but there was 1 month last year where I just so you know that I too experienced this, when I got really scared, and I got very the number one thing that anybody who's controlling a narrative has as their superpower is their ability to control our attention. And Tony Robbins says this, right? Where our attention goes, our energy flows, right? And so this is, by the way, as I'm quoting all of these male coaches, I'm realizing how much is needed for the voice of the female coach. And it's been coming up, Mel Robbins, for example, but nowhere near, we don't have a balance yet there. So just a little self reflection, a little awareness. So um so yeah, so basically, it's the control of our attention, right, and the control of our narrative. And any coaches who are watching this know neurolinguistic programming and maybe emotional freedom technique and all of these ways, hypnosis, self hypnosis, right? These are ways that we can either implant somebody with a belief, or we can take back our own belief, right? Because
Mhm.
our subconscious is so powerful. It's
Yeah.
so powerful. And we're getting a message every day, all day long. Like, we're supposed to be struggling. We're supposed to be afraid. We're supposed to be, right. And again, this is not a political commentary,
No, no, no. It's
but
taking the power back.
what
That is
happens,
taking your power back.
taking our power back. And so that's it. So the 1 month when I really allowed my vibe to tank, how we would say that in California, maybe like I allowed my inner focus to be redirected, was the worst month that I had in my business. And then in the middle of this month, I'm realizing, like, wow, what am I spending my time thinking about? This is completely ridiculous, because
Mhm.
everything that I'm creating comes from my energy source, comes from my energy source. Yes, I'm co-creating with all the other energies in the universe, but
Mhm.
if I'm not doing my part and showing up and focusing my energy on moving forward and health and service and happiness and joy, that's more than 50% of the agreement here, and I'm not holding my own. So I got my head out of my, another terrible American expression, but I just refocused my attention on the things, like, I figured if I can't be happy by
Mhm.
the time I'm 50, if I can't actually learn and focus and prioritize happiness, like,
Yes.
what am I here to do, really? So, am I going to wait until this is over before I'm happy and balanced and healthy and joyful and creative? It's like, okay, that's a choice,
Yeah.
but I chose not to, and I
Yeah.
and I think that everybody could choose
Yeah.
differently. Maybe there's a little trajectory between getting to where you want and where you are now, but
Mhm.
decision and focus and attention is a huge part of that
Mhm.
piece.
You can choose to turn off the radio, the television, the negative information, because those are businesses and they have to sell. And what sells best is negativity, because we retain it 100 times better than we retain something good. So it's a business, and if we think about that, okay, they have to make their business profitable, but they spit out a lot of negativity and things we don't need. I talked with a friend the other day, and I said I wake up in the middle of the night and in the morning, and the first word I hear in my head is with the C, the capital C that we hear all the time. And I had it for quite some time, and then I was thinking, why is this happening to me? Why do I wake up in the night with anxiety and so on? And I realized that I was watching some news channels again, listening to something, and reading some stuff. And I said, no, I have to turn it off. I turn it off, and it is almost completely gone. So it is really what you say. It is a choice. I wrote a post about it the other day. You have the choice. There are solutions out there for your situation, for everything in your life. A few hours ago, the neighbor was, he's 75, 76, and we were talking about it, and he said there is always a solution. I said, I tell my children, for every problem there are at least 3 solutions, but you have to find them. And I think that is where a lot of people stop. They are maybe afraid or maybe hesitant or whatever, but they stop. And I think if they that is also one of the goals of these trainings, is don't stop, just continue. Like you said, you know everything, you have everything in your head. Ask the question. Don't say I cannot do this, or this does not exist, or this is not possible, but ask, how is it possible? How can I do that? And then, exactly how you say, your brain is going to give you solutions, and then you choose the best one. So that is really so true what you said there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, you've really captured that perfectly. That's growth mindset, right? Growth mindset. How can this work? Where is the solution? There's always a solution. we can get into quantum physics, right? There's every potentiality, like literally every potential, the worst one and the best one and everything in between. And if we're calibrating our mind to finding the best one, then our chances are much, much greater
Yeah.
that we're going to find it.
And
So
we have much
yeah.
more fun in life eventually, I think. Otherwise, it's always struggling. It's always struggling. So, Noelle, we are going slowly to wrap this up. Do you have some last wisdom to share with us?
I would say that don't underestimate the amount of work that it may take to reprogram your subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that has, if I could say like the number one thing that has helped me through the last year, two things. One is, it's really worth the effort. So, there's a lot of books, and I'm sure Monique probably has a lot of books on her blogs and web pages that you could recommend. I have some that I have loved that have really helped me. Seeking out healers, there's a lot of healing modalities. Really make that a focus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And don't underestimate the amount of work that it may take
Mm-hmm.
to change that.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of self-concept work is something that the very successful people are actually working on daily forever. And then the other piece that I might have just flown out of my mind. This is just to speak to the possibility, right? The possibility for happiness, abundance, alignment. I heard these statistics in the last year, and they were so encouraging. There's a lot of books about wealth mindset, and the numbers have been evaluated for times of great economic hardship. That actually more millionaires are made during great economic hardship than any other time.
Yeah.
For women who are in direct sales, which I personally think is a great model for mothers in particular, because we can be home with our kids.
Mm-hmm.
There's more millionaire women in direct sales than any other industry.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? I think that that actually the odds are pretty good if we're managing our minds, and we have really good inputs, like listen to Monique's podcast for all these goodies. Like my friend Beth just introduced me to you, and I'm going to tune
It's
in
awesome.
regularly now. Fill your mind up with the women who are actually doing it, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to hear from people who aren't doing it. You want to get
No.
advice from people who are actually succeeding. But
Yeah.
those two things, that the world is, it's still really a limitless field of possibility. And then don't underestimate the amount of inner work that may be required, because that
Yeah.
seems to be the number one thing that can aid or hinder.
Yeah, because the things that are difficult, the things that you acquire with difficulty are always the best things that happen to you. Because when it's easy, it's not, when you do easy, you get easy. When you do difficult, you get also maybe difficult, but you also, the results are much more empowering, and much more valuable, I think, in general. So, Noelle, thank you for everything. I know you have an amazing training for free on your website about personal branding and attraction marketing. I saw a part of it. I have not gone through it completely yet, but I will. I'm going to put the link, if you're okay with that, in the description, so people can go and watch it, because it is really important, and it is very valuable what you're telling there. But where can people find you on the internet? Do you have can they
So
reach out to you?
I mostly hang out on. Yeah, so I have the thrivemovement.com is my group, but I don't hang out there that much. So really Facebook is the place to reach me. So Noelle O. Foster, that's in homage to my my Irish ancestors, Noelle O. Foster on Facebook, or Instagram also is Noelle O. Foster. And yeah, I love connecting with other people, whatever they do. If you are a being of goodwill with, good vibes, connect. I love that. So thank
Okay.
you.
I will put all the links in the description so you can reach out to Noelle. Noelle, thank you very, very much for your time. We will connect very soon, I'm sure about that. And thank you for all the good work. It's amazing. I love your feed. It's also positive, but it is also, you give people something to think about. And I like that. So thank you very much for sharing your posts. And I wish you an awesome day today. And let's connect soon.
Thank you, Monique. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye-bye.
So wasn't this an awesome talk? I love that. Just to recap a little bit. So and Noelle was talking about personal branding, but not just personal branding, but really authentic personal branding. So because if you are authentic, you are also telling your own story. You're not faking it. You're not telling something that is not you. People will know when you're authentic and when you're really believing and feeling the things that you are sharing online. It is so very important to brand yourself, like Noelle said, because when you brand yourself with your authenticity, what is going to happen? You are going to attract the right people to you. And that is the attraction marketing that she was talking about. Attraction marketing is really attracting those people that you want to work with, your special niche, your own tribe. Because what happens when you have your own tribe, when you have your own people? You feel good, you do good, and you know exactly what they need to serve them. So if you are just starting or struggling, then maybe you want to review this interview once again, so you take some notes and you can implement them into your business and start your own authentic personal branding and grow with your online business. So that said, I really want to wish you an awesome day. I hope to talk to you soon, and I hope that you had great value from this video. And if you have questions, remarks, or you want to tell something, or you have an amazing story to tell, then please reach out to me so we can schedule an interview with you for the Monique's matinees or for the Tuesday live trainings. I hope to see you soon. I hope to talk to you soon, and I wish you an awesome day. Bye-bye.